going on, everybody? It is your boy, the Bad Diggity Dizzle, a.k.a. the Laker Dog. A special live stream tonight. You guys know I normally just do Laker games, do the play-by-play, have a lot of fun with you guys and girls. And tonight, obviously, is very special. If you're in the stream, you know what's going on tonight. Quick little background. You know, I have said this before in my streams. A lot of you know I'm from New York. I'm a Knicks fan. And when I started streaming my channel, when I started doing streams in 2018, because it allowed me to live my dream out on YouTube doing play-by-play, I was revolving my life around YouTube, which was incorrect. And I started to revolve YouTube around my life. I started to do late night basketball streams. That included a lot of Laker stuff. Somebody one night said, "You're the Laker Dog," and it stuck. And I've been streaming Laker games pretty much since 2018. Seen some bad years, right? We're in the middle of a struggle right now. Saw a championship together. Saw a lot of injuries. Saw a terrible year last year. Obviously, we have a lot of strong opinions, right? But I am honored because I never thought this would happen. It's talked about a lot, and I don't really know what to say. I let them know, before the stream. I was a little nervous. Listen, if you don't know who Trevor Lane is, I'm sure you all do. But when I do basketball games, I always turn over to him after the game's over to watch his post game. This guy is the best at covering the Lakers on YouTube. He does all the rumors. He lets you know about injury updates, any trade rumors, anything that's going on. This is your guy for Laker news. So I'm going to bring him in now. That's right. The one, the only, Trevor Lane from Lakers Nation. Trevor Lane is in the dog pound. Trevor, thank you for coming on the channel, brother. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the dog pound, baby.
Thank you. Hey, happy to be here. Glad to do it. I'm excited for this, but I like what I'm seeing the chat asking right now. Have you been converted at all yet after doing all of these Lakers? Like, are you at least an honorary Lakers fan at this point?
I say this all the time. I root for the Lakers. I pull for the Lakers 80 games a year. There's 2 games I can't pull for. And I think we know which 2 those are when they play the Knicks. And the Knicks haven't helped out the Lakers, right? They lose to the Clippers. They beat the Lakers. Right. And then last night, even though Julius Randle had a heroic performance, they lost to the Timberwolves, who could not miss. I mean, Taurean Prince was what? 8 for 8, 9 for 9 from three-point range. It's insane. But Trevor, let them know, like, if they don't know who you are. And again, I have Trevor's channel, his IG, and his Instagram are all in the description. But let them know where they can find you. Plug all your shows, everything you do, because I know you do like an Apple podcast and everything else. So let them know all about you, my man. The floor is yours.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, our channel is over at youtube.com/Lakers Nation. And that's where we do our post-game show, all of our videos on rumors and news and all that kind of stuff, all the breakdowns there. I also host the NBA front office show with Keith Smith, where we break down everything from a salary cap perspective. And then, of course, the Lakers Nation podcast, which goes up on the YouTube channel, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. So if you want to see the video version, it's on YouTube. If you want to listen to the audio version, it's over on Apple Podcasts. And then all of our written work is over at LakersNation.com. We do our live broadcasts of the games with playback as well. That's playback.tv/LakersNation. There's constantly stuff added in where next thing you know, we're here, we're there, we're all over the place. But a lot of different ways that you can come check out our Lakers content at this point.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Trevor's the man. Anytime. What happens to me, I stream the Laker games, and I have to get up at 5:30 in the morning, New York time. And a lot of times the Lakers end at 1 o'clock over here, sometimes a little bit later. I usually shut down the stream. I go up and take a shower, and I always put on your post game. And a lot of times they end up staying up for the whole thing and get 4, sometimes maybe 3 hours sleep. But I love what you guys do. Like, I love listening to your take on everything, because obviously, you follow the Lakers extremely closely. You know a lot of things that go on there, and I love your perspectives and the guests you have. They have a lot of great perspectives too. So like I said, it's an honor to have you on the channel. So obviously, Trev, the pressing question, and I think, I asked you this on Instagram. What do you think? What can the Lakers do to be more consistent? Is there anything that they can do? Because I think what I got from your response, and I said, what do you think the main problem is? And you're like, there's just so much, It's the inconsistency. One night against the Pelicans, they're incredible. They score 75 points, get a 40-point lead, and then next night they lose to the Rockets. They're consistently inconsistent. Is there anything they could do at this point in the year to be more consistent?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it is just the natural variation that you're going to see across shooting percentages, particularly when you're starting to shoot more threes, which they are now that it's post Russell Westbrook. We're living in the post Russell Westbrook world with the Lakers. So they're going to be shooting threes at a higher volume. We're certainly seeing that with guys like Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell shooting the three ball. And so there's just naturally going to be a little bit more fluctuation because of that. But I don't think that's really the crux of it. I think the biggest thing that we're seeing right now, the reason why they're struggling so much, it's getting Anthony Davis going. I mean, they haven't been able to solve the problem that the Raptors presented them with, what was it, 5-6 games ago, where they kind of schemed Anthony Davis out of the game. He still was able to make an impact. He can still do things on the defensive end of the floor. But in terms of getting him going offensively, teams are more than willing to commit everything they can to shut down AD and dare anyone else to beat them. And so far, that's kind of working. And I think maybe it's gotten into Anthony Davis's head a little bit. And so that's the biggest thing, because if you're getting 25 points plus a night out of Anthony Davis consistently, well, that's going to help raise your floor, and it's going to provide you a little bit of that night in, night out consistency that you're talking about there. So I think that's the biggest thing. You've got to turn Anthony Davis back into that 1A offensive weapon. Some of that's on AD, some of that is on the coaching staff, but that's the first thing you got to do. From there, we can start talking about scheming better open looks. We can start talking about does Malik Beasley's shots start falling and everything, but it all hinges upon Anthony Davis, because you just can't be getting 15 points a night out of him and expect to get where you want to go.
Right. And, it's funny because I heard you talking about Malik Beasley the other night, and it was definitely something that I thought of. One of my favorite player of all time is John Starks. John Starks was a guy that could carry you, and he could also shoot you out of a game. And I know most Knicks fans that are my age, a little younger, a little older, that lived through 94 will always bring up the 3 for 18 in Game 7 against the Rockets. And they won't bring up the Game 6 where he had 16 points in the fourth quarter. And Trev, I'm going to my grave with this. If Hakeem Olajuwon doesn't get his fingers on Starks' 3, it's going in. The Knicks are champs. But Starks also was a tenacious defender. Like, he was a really good defender. So even if he had a rough shooting night, he could help you on the other end of the floor. Malik Beasley reminds me of Starks in that he's just going to keep shooting, and you hope that he gets hot. But like you mentioned, he doesn't make a difference on the other end of the floor. Is it time to cut Malik Beasley's minutes and give more to Austin Reeves, who carried the Lakers to victory, against the Magic? I mean, he's been great.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think that if you're going to stick, and we've had the debate for a while about, do you change the starting lineup because Beasley's not shot the ball that well? I mean, he's shooting like 34% from 3 as a Laker, but it's a little bit misleading when we look at that, because a lot of those threes that he hit came in like some garbage time minutes that he got early on. But he's not that far off of his career percentage from 3. Like, I checked out the stats the other day, and if he has 5 more makes, he's shooting 37%, which is essentially his career number, which is not bad. But it just, this last game against the Magic, it felt like on top of the shots not falling, he just looked hesitant. He looked tentative out on the floor, and you can't have that. So I think now, if you're not going to move Austin into the starting lineup, it's got to be a very short leash for Malik Beasley. It's got to be something where if the shot's not falling, okay, Austin, 35 plus minutes a night. Here you go. Let's roll with this. And you may need to give Austin those minutes regardless, but Beasley in particular, if the shot's not falling, I think you have to move on quickly. I don't think you have 25, 26 minutes in a game to figure out whether or not Malik Beasley's got it. I think you got to move on quicker. Just every single game matters so much right now. Unfortunately, right. I would love to say they've got time for him to shoot his way out of this slump. I don't think they can afford to do so.
Yeah. I mean, you just nailed it. And that's what I was thinking the other night when I was watching your post game, is thinking to myself, the Lakers don't have time. If they were ensconced in the playoffs, you could allow Beasley to shoot himself out of this and hope he got hot for the playoffs. But like you said, with every single game meaning so much, and the Lakers have had a lot of help. I mean, a lot of teams around them that they needed to have lost. And then the last couple of games that has not happened, they've all been winning. I mean, how did the Jazz beat the Celtics? I mean, wow, things like that, it's just incredible. How do the Timberwolves score 140 points against the Knicks? Things like that. The Knicks are usually a pretty good defensive team. So now all of a sudden things have gone bad, but I keep telling the chat, the Lakers just have to win. Things will take care of themselves. They have 2 games against the Jazz. They play the Clippers again. All they have to do is win their games, and they're going to get into the postseason. Whether that is the actual playoffs or the play-in, they're going to be there one way or the other. I mean, they're only like, 2 games out of 6? It's not much. And obviously the Thunder and Clippers play tonight. That's a big game. So it's just, I don't know, man. If they were in better position, you could let Beasley shoot his way out. But like you said, you can't afford a guy to come in there and shoot you out of a game. And that's Beasley's game. I mean, no hesitation, just an unconscious shooter, and he just hopes that he hits it. But yeah, I'm with you. I think if he's not hitting that shot at the beginning of the game, I think you got to give more minutes to Reeves, and you probably got to give more minutes to Lonnie Walker, at least to see what Lonnie Walker can do.
Oh yeah, same thing with if Beasley's not hitting, I mean, do you throw Lonnie in and see if he can give you he could have a 1-man 7-0 run in 5 minutes and you're happy with that. He could also shoot you out of game, so you got to be careful with it. But yeah, I mean, if they had any margin for error, they burned it all up in Houston and that Dallas loss. Those two, they have no margin for error now. They're a game and a half behind the Golden State Warriors. They do have the tiebreaker over the Warriors, but you still have to leapfrog. I think it's 4 other teams to get to 6. They're in the 11th seed right now. So yeah, I mean, you don't have time for a cold shooting night from anybody at this point. And it's just the reality of the situation. It's unfortunate because I do like Beasley, but this is the challenge when you have a guy, and we saw the same thing with Danny Green a few years ago, and KCP as well. When you have a guy who derives so much of their value from their 3-point percentage, their ability to take and make a high percentage of their threes, there's naturally going to be fluctuation over the course of the season in that production. And if you catch it at the wrong time, it can be damaging to you, even if over the long haul of the season, it looks pretty good. So Duncan Robinson is the example of that, where he never really came back around, and he has so much of his value tied to his 3-point percentage that now he's a negative contract. I don't know that that's the way Beasley's going to go, but he's got to figure it out soon. And if he doesn't, if Darvin's putting him in and it's just not clicking, the shot's not falling, you got to move on. You got to move on because you've got the depth. You've got enough other guys that can do stuff where you can win games without the 3-point shooting of Malik Beasley. So you got to do it. You got to pull the trigger. Like Darvin said to start the season, right? Facts over feelings. Hey, if the shot's not going down, we got to look elsewhere right now.
Do you see Reeves in the starting lineup before the year ends?
I don't know if Darvin's going to change the starting 5. He was so adamant that, he wasn't happy with the beginning part of the season because he shuffled through so many different starting lineups out of necessity due to injury. So what I think will happen before it's a starting lineup shift is we just see Beasley's minutes dwindle and dwindle. Now, hopefully he doesn't get that. Hopefully he just starts hitting threes and, we go on our merry way. But I think instead of a starting lineup change, what we're more likely to see is just more minutes fed over to Austin. Because I do wonder, if you pull Beasley from the starting lineup, does that completely destroy his confidence? What happens there? Like, I think that's something to consider too if you're Darvin Ham. But I would be in favor of moving Reeves into the starting lineup. I think Darvin will stick with what he's got right now and then just shift more minutes elsewhere if Beasley's not getting it done.
Right. All right. Honest answer, Trev. Honest answer.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how pissed were you at the end of the Mavericks game? Okay, I'm a Knicks fan. I was mad. I was mad. How and when I sent you a super chat, I didn't mean to say he's a low IQ player. I meant to say low IQ play, but autocorrect is fantastic. But yes, it was a low IQ play. I was out, like you said, that was like the worst 30 seconds I think I've ever seen a player have. I mean, how mad were you? You can be honest.
It was to the point where Sean Davis was texting me, checking in, because it was like 5-10 minutes before I started the post-game stream, and he's checking in like, are you good? Because he saw how upset I was over on playback when we were doing the game there. And yeah, it was one of those shows where, I feel very fortunate to get to do what I do, to get to talk about the Lakers and do all this kind of stuff. But in that moment, I wanted to talk about anything else but the Lakers. I was not excited to go talk to. And of course, by the end, I feel better because we have talked through everything. People have gotten to vent a little bit and all that. But yeah, that was especially the way it went down. And I think it was the accumulation of the fact that we had seen that exact play happen already against Indiana earlier in the season.
Yes.
That obviously stung. but how many times this season we've seen the Lakers, I keep saying up 6 with a minute 30 to go, and they find a way to lose games. They keep, things keep happening down the stretch. It just reopened that old wound. And I was not a happy camper in that moment. That's for sure.
All right. Which one was worse? The Dallas Mavericks game or the no call on LeBron against the Celtics? Which one was worse?
I mean, the Celtics one's awful and is always awful because it's the Celtics, but the Dallas one was more of a, like, I'm sitting there looking at my camera going, all right, I got to be on my best behavior here and not saying that. I'm not going to swear. I'm not
I got that for Trev. If anybody's going to swear, I got him.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. I was not happy. And I think it's because we all knew so much was riding on that game, and it was so important. And it felt like they had come back and, okay, they're not going to do this anymore. They're not going to blow a game late. And yeah, I think that one, despite it being the Celtics, which is crazy. I mean, I grew up during Showtime and everything. So the Celtics hatred is in my blood, but that Mavs one, that was rough. That was rough.
I could not believe that had happened. I mean, I'm sitting there when he fouled him the first time, I'm like, what are you doing? Just let him. If he hits it, but don't foul. You're up by 4. And then of course he goes down and he misses the free throw, and then he falls. I'm like, it's inexcusable. I'm like, I've defended Anthony Davis tooth and nail. I'm like, I can't defend him after that. You talk about like not being able to close out games. Now, maybe you see something different because everybody has a different perspective. But when I watch the Lakers at the end of the game, I'm always like, it seems like they go to isolation basketball and they settle for shot. They never just let Anthony Davis touch the ball. Just get it into him and let him draw the defense. If they don't come and double, he can take the shot. But if they double, kick the ball out, swing it around, and get a good look at a 3. Let the ball move around, and you can use the shot clock that way instead of dribbling the ball for 20 seconds. And then I always call it the Carmelo Anthony play because he used to do that with the Knicks. Grab the rebound, he dribbled down the floor for 20 seconds, jab step, fade away. I'm like, what is that? You guys got the lead by moving the ball. Let Anthony Davis touch the ball down low. And like I said, if the defenders collapse, you kick it out, you get a better look at a 3. Or they don't double and he dominates.
Yeah, that is it's one of my pet peeves. And it's not even just a Lakers thing. We just see a lot of teams around the NBA who, they get any kind of a lead and, there's 5 minutes or less on the game clock, and they completely change the way they're playing offense. And typically what you wind up doing is you wind up taking bad shots that you're settling for that result in long rebounds, and you put the opponent back into the game rather than, I'm going to kill off the game by running clock here and going ISO. And I think the fear is, if we get, if LeBron if he was healthy, knock on wood, LeBron's got the ball. If he gets doubled and he moves it, he's never going to get the ball back. So let's not even risk that. Let's just let LeBron have the ball, and then he's going to take the last shot. I agree with you. I think that you're better off just, get AD the ball, react to what the defense is doing there. If you need to move it, and then trust that you're going to get the open look. And when you do that, trust that guy's going to knock it down because those are your closers. If it's Austin Reeves, if it's Troy Brown, if it's D'Lo, whoever it is, trust that they're going to make the right decision there and take advantage of the double team. I always say this, you have to punish a team for their choices. If they're going to make the choice that we're going to commit extra defenders to Anthony Davis, say thank you and punish them for it with the open man hitting the shot. That's what I would prefer to see out of the Lakers. And I think you're also right that sometimes AD isn't demonstrative enough calling for the ball. He's not aggressive enough going and getting the ball. So you may have to just give it to him. Just here's the ball. Right. You're doing this, whether you like it or not, because that's what you need to be right now.
Yeah, I said this, I think it must have been against Orlando. I'm like, I wish Anthony Davis should just play pissed off. Like, I just wish he would play mad. I'm like, if he plays mad, you can't stop the guy. You cannot stop Anthony Davis. I know he's not what he used to be. I know he's dealt with a lot of injuries, and we joke around, street clothes, Charmin soft. I get it. But when he's just playing basketball and just being aggressive and using his size and athleticism. He has a great mid-range jump shot, but I hate when he settles for it. He's one of the few big guys I see that still has a post game. That's getting, knocked out of the NBA because all these big guys can shoot threes now. You don't really see the post-up game like when you and I were younger and you had a good center on every team. It seemed like, long gone are the days of Hakeem Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and even Shaq. Those days are gone. But Anthony Davis still has all that skill set in the paint, which is where he's dominant. And also when defenses collapse on you down low, if you miss a shot, you got a good chance to get an offensive rebound. As opposed to when you're isolating, it's usually one and done because you don't have guys underneath the basket. Nobody's collapsed. They're just waiting for a rebound. So, that's just the way I look at it. Let me get to a couple of these super chats that are coming in. I appreciate you guys. Mamba Mentality. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He says, Trevor and Baddog collab, about time. Let's go. It is. It's an honor to have Trevor on the channel. Christian R says, 2 legends. And as I would say, how can I be a legend when you're a legend? Trev's a legend. That's for sure. The Red Mask channel, man. Thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Appreciate the supporter of both y'all. Let's go. If you guys don't know who Trevor Lane is, like I said, all of his his information's in the chat, his IG, his Twitter, and his YouTube channel. If you guys need any news on the Lakers, any rumors, any updates on, LeBron James's injury or anything else like that, this is definitely your go-to guy. So definitely check him out. My guy, L.A. Lou, what's up, buddy? He says, you open up AD by giving the opponents a bigger dose of D-Lo and AR-15. They'll have to be attended to, and that'll free up AD. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think so far what we've seen is teams have said, even when you get, whether it's Reeves or D'Lo or Troy Brown or whoever, have knocked in a couple of shots, they've still said, nah, we're staying with AD. Now, maybe that changes at some point, right? At some point, if you're bludgeoning them over the head with threes from Reeves is getting into the paint, kicking to D'Lo, they're scoring, they're doing stuff because you're not paying attention to them. At some point, they'll adjust, but we're still seeing teams right now prefer to stick with Anthony Davis and trust that sooner rather than later, the Lakers offense will break in terms of you're going to get, an 0 for 5 stretch from some of their 3-point shooters, and then you're off and running from there. So I do think once they can consistently punish teams for paying too much attention to AD, then yes, ultimately teams will have to come out of that. But we haven't seen a whole lot of it just yet. But that is ultimately the solution is if you're going to leave D'Lo, if you're going to provide these openings, these angles for Austin Reeves to get into the paint and do stuff, or anybody else, those guys stepping up is something of a solution. In addition to just sometimes Anthony Davis saying, hey, look, I don't care if you double me. I'm bigger than you and faster than you and stronger than you, and you're not stopping me. That is another factor that probably we need to see occur more often. But yeah, ultimately, again, punish teams for their choices. If they want to send extra help at AD, great. Other guys have to step up, and they have to knock those down and force them out of that defense.
Right. The Pelicans was a perfect example. I mean, the Lakers hit 15 threes in the first half. I think that was a record for any half for the Los Angeles Lakers. Beasley, and you mentioned how his stats are skewed. That skewed his stats too. I think he was 7 out of 11 or something from 3-point range. But that did open up Anthony Davis, and he had a big game. And then, of course, let me ask you this, Trev, about resting Anthony Davis against Houston. I know that's not Anthony Davis's decision. I know Anthony Davis doesn't go to Coach Ham and go, hey, listen, man, I need a night off. I need to sit down and relax. And I get, I've heard you say, listen, if he gets hurt, because he plays back-to-back, then the season's definitely over.
Right. But
the way I look at it is this. He can get hurt at any time. We've seen that. It doesn't necessarily need to. I always, how cats always land on their feet. I'm like, Anthony Davis is a dog. Like, he never, every time he jumps, he falls. I swear to God. He's not nimble. Okay. But do you think, at this time of the year, it's just like you mentioned earlier, every game means so much. Do you just throw caution to the wind and say, listen, we have to go for this? And if he gets hurt, I mean, I don't know. I know it's tough because I know he's dealt with injuries. I know he's dealing with a foot injury, and these big guys always have foot injuries. And you don't want to say, yeah, okay, I get both ends of the spectrum. I get, okay, we win the Rockets game, but we lose Anthony Davis. What was the point? Then I also get the point of, well, Jesus, we sat Anthony Davis, we lost the game, and then we lost to the Mavs and he played. What's the point?
Yeah. And I think that in that particular instance, they probably felt like, hey, we can beat the Rockets without him, so let's see if we can get away with this. But ultimately, the spot they're in now, and they were kind of on a roll there. So again, I would have much preferred to see him play in that game against Houston. I thought he was going to, and if he wasn't going to play, and they knew that, which clearly they did, why would you not go sign another big? You have one center, right? That's mind-blowing. But in any event, they've got one more back-to-back. I would assume that he's going to play in that, because by that point, it really is do or die. And to me, it almost gets into like a hockey or a mentality here where, let's say you're down 3-2 and you pull the goalie. Yeah, I mean, there's a chance you're going to get scored on and you're going to lose 4-2, but you're going to lose either way. So you might as well go for it, right? And you might as well see if you can tie it up, put that extra man on the ice. That's what I think the mentality needs to be for the Lakers in this last back-to-back set that they've got. Yeah, you may have an increased risk level for Anthony Davis, but we may be at a point where if you don't win that game, you've got Utah and the Clippers back-to-back there. You don't win that game, maybe there's no playoffs to speak of anyway. So you might as well go for it, take the chance. And if you lose AD, well, your season's over anyway. But if you lose that game, you're probably staring down the same thing. So I think we've hit that point where you just have to get the win. And that means if there's a bit of an increased risk with him playing back-to-back, hey, go blow out the team and we can limit your minutes to 28 or something like that and not have to play you in the fourth if you guys really get after it.
Yeah. Janice, thank you very much for the super chat. My lady, very generous. She says, welcome, Trevor, to Bad Dog Sports. Thank you for your collab and your expertise on the Lakers. And she says, let's go Lakers.
Let's go Lakers. Let's go.
Janice, but I had the best mods. And that's one thing I want to ask you, Trevor. You ever considered, not that it matters to me, it's your channel, you run. Have you ever considered having moderators for your channel?
I need to do it. I had somebody mentioning that on the last show, and I've had it mentioned a few times. I need to do it because we do get people who come in sometimes and just say crazy stuff. And yeah,
a lot of spam,
I know. I need to do it.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if there was a reason. Like, I don't have many. I think I have maybe a dozen. But they're like the best. So I was just curious because Janice is a moderator, LA Lou's moderator. They do a great job because I do. I mean, I get 9,000-10,000 people in some of these games, and they're right on top. But I do remember that one of the funniest things was when they played the Warriors in the play-in. I had like 23,000 people, and I just remember seeing one of my mods. I think it was Dire Giants, and just said, I can't keep up with the chat." That was insane. But you guys get like 8,000-9,000 people in a lot of your post games. So I wasn't sure if there was a reason you didn't do it or not. So
no,
I'll nominate myself.
I just haven't looked into it enough.
I'll nominate myself, Joe.
And Mamba Mentality says they're in. So yeah, we'll need to get that rolling.
There you go. Mamba Mentality. Speaking of which, thank you for the super chat. He says, Trev, pros and cons of the Lakers potentially signing Tristan Thompson.
I mean, the con is you got to pay a little bit more money if you're Genie Bus, right? Like that's the con, right? You're in the luxury tax, you're paying the repeater tax, so it's going to cost you a little bit of money on a 10-day contract, though. Like what is that? As far as the pros, if Anthony Davis is playing in the back-to-back, which Darvin was not revealing that information, even if Chris Haynes says yes, he is, just a few days ago. But if AD is playing in the one remaining back-to-back, I'm not as worried about signing another big, unless like something happens to Wenyen or something like that. But otherwise, you've got AD, you've got Wenyen. You're probably okay there. And let's face it, if something happens to Wenyen, you can call up Tristan Thompson or whoever and have him there. If something happens to AD, you're done anyway, right? So the issue was, why not do this before the back-to-back against Houston that had Houston in it, that you knew he wasn't going to play, and so you didn't have enough centers. So if you can call up Tristan Thompson right now, why couldn't you have called him up a week and a half ago and said, hey, we know we're going to have one center for this game. Let's bring you in on a 10-day and see if, in case we're getting just obliterated on the boards, we can have another large human being to throw into this game. And they didn't do that. So I don't know if it's something that they really have to do at this point, if the back-to-back restriction isn't there. Because look, once you get to the playoffs, back-to-backs aren't a thing, right? They don't exist. So it's really just this 1-2 game stretch when you got the Clippers and the Jazz. And if AD is going to play in it, I'm not all that worried about it. I'd still probably bring him in. He might not play at all, but I'd bring him in just to kind of have a break glass in case of emergency big on the bench. But the time to do it has already passed, and they missed the chance.
Okay, this is one thing I definitely wanted to ask you. When they won their championship in 2020, Anthony Davis played the 4. LeBron played the 3. They had 2 number 5s. They had JaVale McGee. They had Dwight Howard. In my opinion, Anthony Davis is not a 5. Anthony Davis is a 4. He's a power forward. I don't understand. Why have the Lakers not gotten it? I mean, JaVale McGee was not an offense. Neither one of those guys was an offensive juggernaut, but they got you rebounds and played tough defense to paint. Why do you think the Lakers have kind of got away from that and played 80 at the 5 instead of going out and getting just a big? I know they did it with Mo Bamba, and I mean, I love my Mo Bamba song, and now I don't even get to freaking do the Mo Bamba song because he got hurt. But why do you think that they've stayed with Anthony Davis at the 5 so long? I just feel like he's more effective as a 4, where he doesn't have to be that guy that's, constantly got to get the rebounds. He can focus on other things, and you have that bigger. Not that Anthony Davis can't block shots or anything, but you have another guy that can kind of clean it up if somebody penetrates the paint. Because if they get by AD, there's nothing there anymore.
I think it's a few things. So the advanced metrics were all showing AD as being more effective at the 5, where he could take advantage of some slower players. And you saw that was how the Lakers typically closed games. Now you could say he's more injury prone if he's playing the 5, and I get that. So I think they kind of leaned on those numbers, but I think it's also a fit situation where if you look at what's happened, Anthony Davis in 2020 was shooting like 33% from 3, and if your 4 is shooting 33% from 3, okay, you're all right? He's got to, especially because Anthony Davis, like, he's going to get defended out there. But now, like, I just pulled this stat since the trade deadline, he's shooting 25% from 3. Nobody's going to defend him behind the 3-point line. So then if you're going to put another big on the floor, that person has to be able to check the box of both rim protector and 3-point shooter in order to have some floor spacing. I mean, we even see it now when you're putting AD on the floor with Jared Vanderbilt, who can make up for his lack of shooting a little bit with just how precise he is with his cutting, particularly backdoor cuts. He's great at those. But if you're going to put a true 5 out there, they need to be able to shoot the 3 in order to mitigate AD's own inabilities, seemingly, to shoot that shot at this point, at least to a point where he's going to get defended. So that's why Marc Gasol was a really interesting fit, was because he can shoot that 3. Mo Bamba, if you were at some point, even though they didn't do it, if you were going to play them next to each other, you can get away with it because Bamba can shoot the 3 at a high enough level to make up for Anthony Davis's inability to do so. But it just complicates things so much if the 3-point shot is no longer a weapon for Anthony Davis. Makes it that much harder to put a true, like a JaVale, a Dwight Howard, someone like that type of big on the floor with him, just because it collapses a lot of your spacing on the offensive end.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. What do you think about, like, when I watched the other night, it might have been against, I forgot who it was against, maybe it was against the Mavericks, when the Lakers, came back because they were down early. What did you think about? I kind of liked the rotation with Anthony Davis and Wenyen Gabriel. Because Wenyen Gabriel, and I talk about this a lot, Wenyen Gabriel, obviously, again, not a great offensive player, not a really big player, but he does so many little things that don't show up. Like when the Magic were coming back, for instance, in that game, there was times where he didn't get the rebound and he didn't make a shot or anything, but he drew a loose ball foul, which gave the Lakers another possession. Those are things that don't show up in the box score. It doesn't count as a rebound for Wenyen Gabriel, but it might as well, because it gave the Lakers an extra possession when they were trying to hang on to the lead. So it's those little things. He's very aggressive. He's athletic. And again, I know he's not going to help with spacing with Anthony Davis, because his 3 is, when Gabriel takes 3, you're like, oh geez, where's that going? But I don't know, for some reason, maybe it's just me, I know Darvin Ham loves a 3-guard alignment. I liked the combination of Schroeder, the Duder, D'Lo, and Reeves with Wenyen and AD.
Yeah, it's worked out, and I think part of it is, you've got D'Lo and Reeves who are both able to shoot the 3. Schroeder is, he's 34%, so he's at least a threat to shoot the ball from out there. And then, so in some ways, you're helping to make up for the fact that Wenyen is probably not going to get defended behind the 3-point line. AD, you're still going to have some spacing concerns, but what you're getting on the other end is having that extra help on the glass for Anthony Davis. How many times have we seen where teams realize that as soon as you get AD to come out at all, to contest a shot, like guard gets into a high pick and roll, gets into the paint, AD comes over to contest, that guard doesn't even have to worry about making the shot. All he's got to do is get it up on the rim, and it's an offensive rebound and a putback instantly because Anthony Davis is out. Well, if Wenyen's in there, he can be a presence on the boards there. And like you said, he makes so many plays that just don't show up on the stat sheet. And those that's winning basketball. That's what you need. So I like this alignment. I think it's something that we've been talking about for a while, about, do you find some other big? Do you play Anthony Davis next to another guy that can help him out? So it's not, hey, if Anthony Davis doesn't get the rebound, then we're going to give up an offensive board. It takes a little bit of the pressure off of him. And I like it. And on top of that, look, this team needs all the energy, all the heart that they can get right now. And Wenyen's got that in spades.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. He's definitely scrappy. And I love those guys. That's a throwback to what it used to be in the 90s. Every guy was like that, fighting for every loose ball, boxing out. I mean, even when I played on the playground, I mean, I've never played, any kind of whatever school basketball. I was never good enough, man. I'm 6 foot tall. I got no handle. I ain't playing. But on the playground, everybody's my size. And my favorite thing to do was box out. I loved boxing out. That's a lost art in the NBA. I swear nobody really does it, but Wenyen Gabriel is one of those few guys that I see that actually like boxes out. That again, you can get offensive rebounds that way, defensive rebounds. Obviously, sure you want to box out, but it also can cause a lot of loose ball fouls. So I do. I like Wenyen Gabriel's energy. I love Austin Reeves' energy. I love Austin Reeves' energy. I got to be honest. I get a little jealous of his hair. I don't have hair like that anymore. So every time Reeves makes a shot and moves his hair, I'm like, thanks for that, Austin. Trev, you got really good hair too. Must be an LA thing. I don't know. And then New York over here, the weather must take it off or something. But I do. I like that. I like that combination of those 3 guards in particular and those 2 bigs. So we'll see.
Well, Austin got a haircut, and that seemed to unlock his powers. So maybe that's maybe they trim him a little bit more every single game, and then by the end we're gonna have bald Reeves. But whatever. If
Caruso again.
Yeah, we're slowly turning him back into Alex Caruso to try to heal that wound at the same time.
So scale 1 to 10, how happy were you when they pushed Russell Westbrook out of town?
I don't know if it was necessarily just getting rid of Russell Westbrook that was like the source of the happiness. It was, and I was like, I'd say I was a 9. Right. I mean, like I was pretty thrilled, but it wasn't necessarily oh, thank goodness Russ is gone or something like that. Because I didn't really feel that way. I felt a little bit more, sympathetic towards him this season. I knew it was a tough situation. And so it wasn't, I saw him trying to make adjustments, trying to do things, and it just wasn't working. And it was clear that both sides needed a fresh start, needed to move on. But it was more, they want to trade. Right, like if you look at the value, like the initial reaction from Wolves fans and from Jazz fans was, "What are we doing? What is this? What's happened?" They were mad. I mean, they were not happy, and it's been a while since we've seen the Lakers make a move that makes other teams around the NBA frustrated. And so, I kept thinking, if they're going to do this, you're not going to pull the trigger on Miles Turner and Buddy Hield the night before media day, which everybody I've talked to has said, yes, that's real. They had that opportunity to do that if they wanted to. And they decided not to. That's a gamble. That's a risk that they took. And if you're going to take that risk and go into the season like that, knowing what's on the line, knowing that if you stumble during that time, and they definitely did, you're going to catch a lot of backlash for it. You damn well better find the right move. Something better pop up. And I think it did. And I think that sort of, it bailed them out, but it also showed that they were able to get it done under pressure in a difficult situation with everybody saying, oh, the cost of just getting Russ off the team is a first-round pick. And if you want anything back, that's another first-round pick. And it's going to take the Lakers giving up everything just to get one player. To get the return that they got, that was what really got me excited, was seeing the front office execute a savvy move, understanding the value of draft picks, and getting something done. And getting something done with Danny Ainge. Right, like how does Rob Pelinka come out of a trade looking like the winner in a deal with Danny Ainge? Like, it's, who knows, maybe that pick winds up being the 5th overall pick or something in 2027. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but the way it all played out, it felt real good just to see the Lakers and see other fans around the league saying, how did they get this done? How on earth did the Jazz do this? The Wolves do this? Why would they do this? Why would they help the Lakers? That was a familiar feeling, but one that we haven't felt in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe the return that they got because, again, doing the streams a lot, I'm just like, I don't know. I was giving Pelinka a lot of hell. I'm like, I don't know how he deconstructed a championship team and in 2 years turned it into a 31 team. Now, granted, you deal with injuries and I get that plays a part in it, but it's like the team it never gelled. Like it wasn't there. And then when he got 3 younger, more athletic guys, I'm like, I did say the same thing. I'm like, how did he pull that off? So I haven't given him nothing but credit because I'm like, that's amazing that he was able to get that return for Russell Westbrook. And I've said this before in my streams too. When Westbrook was on the Thunder, he was my favorite player in the NBA. So it's not like I've ever disliked Russ. I just never felt like he fit there. He seemed out of place, and it seemed like he was pressed. Like when you play, listen, I'm a New Yorker. I'm a Yankee fan. I know how our media is. Our media is tough, and not everybody's meant to be a New York Yankee. Doesn't matter how good you are. You come to New York and you put on the pinstripes. It's a different pressure. Russ, I'm imagining this is the same thing with the Lakers in Los Angeles because of their rich history. I mean, the best players in the NBA history played on the Lakers. I mean, the list is a mile long, okay? So when you go there and you're a superstar and you're making $47 million a year, the fans expect a ton of you. Do you think pressure had something to do? I know he got in a war with people on Twitter last year. Do you think the pressure had something to do? Like, I felt like he was too sensitive when people called him Westbrook, and I'm like, dude, that's nothing. Come to New York. You play like that for the Knicks, they're going to call you a lot worse than that. They're going to call your kids worse than that when you come here. So do you think pressure had something to do with it, or is it just didn't fit?
I think it's a fit thing. I don't know. I mean, he constantly said the pressure didn't bother him, and that wasn't a thing. He doesn't let anything affect him, and all of that. And that's, that could be bravado. That could just be a tough exterior or whatever. And maybe it did get to him. It seemed like it got to him when his kids started to get upset about it, and rightfully so. But I really think it's a fit issue. It's, Russ's skill set, not fitting with LeBron and Anthony Davis. And we said that from the beginning, that his skill set on paper isn't a fit, but their gamble is that, the talent level will supersede that, will be just so much better than the fit, that the fit won't matter. But obviously that didn't work out. But I also think it's a salary issue. It's a salary cap problem that they had, where you couldn't have the support around them because it was Russ, LeBron, AD, and then a bunch of veteran minimum guys who suddenly got asked to do a lot more heavy lifting than what their contracts are saying. They're being asked to do things that are simply above their pay grade. That's not really fair of them. And that was just out of necessity. So that backlash kind of fell onto Russ too. It was not just people upset about the way Russ was performing on the floor, but Russ is the reason why, or his contract is the reason why, this Alex Caruso is gone, why the team doesn't have the depth that they used to have, and why they, the fifth best player, sixth best player on the team is a veteran minimum guy that, is going to be gone in a year. That also factored in pretty heavily here, where I don't think it was necessarily the pressure from the fans. I think it's the fit and the contract that ultimately made this just a nightmare scenario.
Which is why when you talk about Kyrie Irving, and you said the same thing, if the Lakers go and they mortgage their future for Kyrie, it's going to end up being, now Kyrie at this point in his career is better than Russell Westbrook. Sure. But like you said, you get those three guys in their contracts, you're going to have a bunch of veteran minimum guys around them. And when those three are off the court, what do? Three guys can't carry a basketball team an entire game. You need depth, which is why I felt like this Laker team, before they hit this little bit of a hiccup, I'm like, nobody wants to see this, especially when LeBron gets back, if he gets back. Nobody wants to see this Laker team in the postseason, because it's so different than the team that started off 2-10. It's way different because it is deeper, because you do have a guy like Schroeder coming off the bench, because you do have a guy like Reeves coming off the bench. You have a guy like Lonnie Walker's at the end of the bench. So their depth is so much better. You're not falling off as much when the starters come off the court. And we've seen a few times during, when the Lakers have played better since the trade, that the bench has actually outperformed the starters. So that's definitely a good thing too, where, like you mentioned, you bring in Kyrie Irving, you're going to have the same type of situation you did with Russell Westbrook. I'm with you. Don't get Kyrie. This is another one of my favorite. I should just stop having favorite players. Every time I have a favorite player, they fall off the face of the earth. Like, Kyrie's still a good player, and he killed the Lakers the other night. But this, I don't know what's up with Kyrie. I don't know.
And it's like I said, it's the same situation. It's the same situation. You would have LeBron, AD, and Kyrie, and not a whole lot else. And that's the challenge. Especially, look, Kyrie's had his own injury concerns. He's in a walking boot right now, for crying out loud. He's playing games, but LeBron, AD, and Kyrie, what's the likelihood that for a decent chunk of the season, you're missing one, if not two of those guys? And then the one still standing is surrounded by veteran minimum guys. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun. So, I'm not in favor of doing that, of going after Kyrie, even while admitting that Kyrie is a much better fit than Russ was, and certainly be more successful in that regard. But yeah, I don't think you can get away with not having depth in today's NBA.
Like a couple more of these super chats. My guy Intel, what's up, buddy? He says, my 2 favorite Laker guys. Thanks for the collab. And as always, mother F the toenail clippers. Yeah, he does not like the Clippers, as I know most Laker fans hate the Clippers. Christian, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. He says, is Pat Bev going to beat us 2 in a row? Must beat the Clips. Must beat the Clips. They must beat a lot of teams.
Everything's a must win now.
Yeah. John Fontil, thank you for the super chat. He says, just got in. Thoughts on the likelihood that the Lakers hold the final spot of the play-in?
I think it's fairly they still have a pretty light schedule from here on out. Now, if the Jazz keep beating teams that they shouldn't beat, and if OKC beats the Clippers tonight, each time you see an upset that goes not in the Lakers' favor, it becomes less likely. But I still look at their schedule and think that they've got a pretty favorable schedule down the stretch, and it's also fortunate that they're playing a lot of the teams that are competing with them for this positioning. So if you take care of business and you get the wins that you should, then I think they can still get into it. But it's certainly less likely than it was before the Houston and Dallas game. But I still think they can get it done.
Yep. Eric D, thank you for the $5 donation, brother. Really appreciate it. By the way, I saw that I don't know if you did a video on this or not, because I haven't been on YouTube a lot today. But I know you put it on the Instagram. What is that? A broadcast channel? What is that thing you have on?
Yeah, I just started playing around with that. Just Instagram was advertising it hey, try this. And my big issue with Instagram has always been, so much of what I do is, it's out on Twitter and it's just
right.
Quick breaking news stuff. And I'm I don't have that much to take pictures of that's interesting.
Right.
Putting it on, and I'm not one to make graphics and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of felt all right, that's a way for me to sort of Twitterize Instagram in terms of just a quick message out. So that's what I've been using that for.
Because that's what I was going to say. DeAndre Ayton is not playing tomorrow. I saw that you put that out. So that obviously is enormous. Now, what about, I haven't seen Durant's injuries. Durant playing, or is he?
No, he's still out. He's going to be out for a bit. They're hoping maybe get him back with a few games left in the regular season, maybe. But I mean, the Lakers do see the Suns again right at the end there. But I think they're really just hoping he's healthy by playoff time, and then they'll go from there.
So Lakers have to win tomorrow.
Yeah,
I mean, they had to win.
I mean, that's true of every game from here on out, though. But yes, I mean, it would definitely be a big help to win tomorrow.
All right, in 2021. Okay, if Anthony Davis doesn't get hurt against the Suns, Lakers win that series.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I did the same thing. It's just double checking. Have you heard anything about LeBron and his injury status? I know they were going to. When do they check him? I thought March 2nd. They said they were checking him in 3 weeks, which would be a couple days from now. So is that still?
Yeah, I believe it's Thursday or Friday that I believe is his reevaluation, and then will we hear anything or not? We'll see. But as far as from everything that I've heard, it's they're still planning on seeing him before the end of the regular season. Now that might mean a game or two left or whatever. Maybe it means 5 games left, 6 games. That'd be great. But even if when he does his reevaluation, he gets the green light, they're still going to have him ramp up a little bit. So that's going to take some time. He's going to, it's not like he broke his thumb or something like that, where he could still be jogging and running and doing all that. He hasn't been able to do any of that stuff. So I think there is going to be a ramp up period. I really been looking at this thing saying best case, maybe you get him back with 5 games left, and that's best case. We'll see. Everybody's just kind of on pins and needles until he gets reevaluated later this week.
Why did he have the black suit on against the Mavericks?
I don't know.
Okay, because normally
people upset about that.
I wasn't upset about it. It's just normally he wears a hat and glasses and a sweater. Right. And I saw that, and I'm like, why is he dressed like that? That's the way I dress. If I'm going to a wedding or something, I just dress in all black. I'm Italian, so, I have that look. I have that look, but let's see LeBron, LeBron dressed like Baddog tonight. I didn't know if there was I never know why the players dress the way they do, but to see him in a full-out suit, I didn't know if there was I know if it's because they were playing Kyrie. I'm like, was he trying to look good for Kyrie? I didn't know. I didn't know why he dressed like that.
I don't know what the rhyme or reason was to it. I mean, we knew he got dressed up to break the scoring record, and we saw that. Right. But that one, I don't know. And I had people saying oh, that shows he's not serious about returning and stuff. I'm like,
why?
I mean, he looked good. I don't know why.
Yeah, I liked this too. He doesn't normally dress like that, so I was like, I didn't know if there was a reason behind that or not. These are the things. These are the things that go through my mind during the game. Mama Mentality, my man. Thank you for the super chat. He says, "Sizzling fire questions coming. Would you not pick up Beasley $16 million for next season and sign Seth Curry or Bogie? More efficient shooters."
Not picking up Beasley $16 million doesn't give you $16 million to go spend, because presumably if you keep D'Lo, you keep Austin, you keep Rui, you're going to be an above the cap team anyway. So clearing Beasley's salary off the books just means you're paying less in terms of a luxury tax, or you're getting yourself farther away from the luxury tax. It doesn't actually give you any additional spending power unless it drops you low enough to where now you feel comfortable using the full mid-level exception instead of the taxpayer mid-level, which in that case you would get an extra like 6 million or so to go spend. So you could offer like 11, 12 million, I suppose, to somebody on a deal. But I don't think I don't think that's ultimately the way the Lakers are gonna go with that. Again, I don't think you get enough spending power really by declining Beasley's option to make it worthwhile. And Bogdanovich is still under contract, so you're not going to be able to go grab him anyway.
All right. Savans, my friend, thank you for the super chat. He says, "Great seeing you guys talking Lakers. Much appreciated. It is much appreciated to have Trevor. It's an honor to have Trevor Lane on this channel because you know me. I'm just a road guy. Like I said, I always joke around in my stream, like I got to work with Trevor. I go, because it's like night and day. I'm like, he's so level-headed, even cute. Like you don't really hear me when you after the Celtics game, when you were like, I could tell you were mad. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I know because he's just so. I'm so not like that. Like I can't be like, I don't know. I can't be like that. I just lose my mind. I don't know why. I'm like, I don't even know why I care. I'm like, I actually stream Laker games to get away from the monotony of all the New York teams I follow. And yet I'm like, I still get mad. I guess when you broadcast the team's games for 5 years, you're going to get a little into them. And sure. I got to be honest, I am. And when Laker fans always tell me, you're an honorary Laker fan. We love you, Baddog. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel good.
That's right. That's right. You're part of the family at this point.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it very much. Leon, thank you for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate you, brother. He says, if you were going to trade AD next season, what level player do you reckon you could get in return, especially with his injury record and inconsistency issues? Now, I've seen this a lot on your channel, Trev. People trade AD. What do you?
I mean, I guess it depends on how does he play from here on out? Does he stay healthy from here on out? That's obviously going to be a big factor in what you could get for him via trade. But what teams are going to try to trade for him? It's got to be a team that's ready to contend right now. What is it that you want if you're the Lakers? Are you looking for draft capital, which is, is LeBron going to be happy with that? Like all these kinds of things are going to influence what the return is going to be. But I would say if you're the Lakers and you're really looking at trading AD, you've got to be shooting for ceiling. And I think most of the scenarios that I look at, I say, hey, if you add this guy, could this guy or these two guys, could these guys go win a championship with LeBron if they're at their best? In most cases, I fall back on, well, no, probably not, because Anthony Davis at his best and LeBron's at his best, that's a really tough duo to stop. Now, you can say injuries have hit both of them, and what are the odds that they're both going to be there? But they at least have that ceiling. And so that's the challenge for the Lakers, is finding guys who are more consistent, less injury prone, and still have the upside that you can legitimately contend for a championship. That is a tall order to try to find in a trade. So I just keep coming back on. I think they ultimately wind up keeping him, but I do know they were looking at this season as kind of their time to evaluate AD and figure out what he really is. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's at least a conversation that they have over the summer, even if it's not going to be easy to find the perfect deal for him, even if they decide to go down that path.
Yeah, it'd be tough. I mean, Anthony Davis seems so much older than he actually is. It's not like LeBron, you got to expect it. LeBron came right out of high school. He was playing at 18 years old. There's a lot of miles on LeBron's legs, tons of miles. So eventually, Father Time is undefeated. Right? Father Time never loses. It got Tom Brady. It took forever to get Tom Brady, but it got Tom Brady. It does. It gets everybody. And as a guy that, works out like a fiend and, I listen, my brain a lot of times is like, yeah, get it. And then my body's like, dude, you're 47. Like, it doesn't react the same. You can think I can play through this or I can do this, but your body's your body. And again, LeBron has a ton of miles and legs, not just because he played, since he was 18, but how many playoff games has the man played? A ton. So add that on to the mix. I don't know. I was mad at Anthony Davis here. I'm not going to lie, but I've always defended AD. I think, at least for me, Trevor, the way I look at Anthony Davis is I think fans get frustrated. At least I get frustrated because I know how good he is. And it's like when he doesn't, when you feel like he's not in the game or his head's not there, or he's not aggressive. And it's like, it frustrates you because you're like, why is he not? Where's Anthony Davis? Where's the guy before the foot injury? This guy was averaging 35 and 20. He was carrying that. He was an MVP candidate early in the year. And then he got hurt. And then it took us the time to get back. And then all of a sudden you saw that big stretch again, 35 and 17, 40 and 20. And then he has a game in the last couple of games. They've just been bleh.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's the hard part, right? Is everybody looks and they says, well, you see him hit that level and you go, okay, cool. Well, we're always be there, right? Just always be at that level, which is much easier said than done. But when you see him dip so far below that level of play, that's where people really start to get frustrated. And, like players go through hot streaks, players go through cold streaks, but with AD, it seems to be a bit more than just that. So they've got to get him going, but when he is going, he's an MVP caliber talent, and that's hard to find.
Right. I saw someone in the chat asking me, I said, Baddog, you streaming the game tomorrow. I mean, is the Pope Catholic? I mean, what's going on here? Mama mentality. Thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate you, brother. He says, I know Ham is for the foreseeable future, but looking back and where they're at, should they have gone for a more experienced coach like Quinn Snyder or Mike Brown? Too many rookie mistakes can cost us games. What do you think about, because that's another thing. Like, I've been on Darvin Ham's case, and I know people in your chat, because I'm in there, I'm reading the chat, Darvin scam, ham and eggs.
Yes.
What, how do you think he's done it let me ask you this. I guess I'll phrase it this way. Rookie head coach going to make rookie mistakes. Do you think he can get better as a head coach and learn from his mistakes? Do you think he can make the adjustments that he needs to make? Because we haven't seen a lot of in-game adjustments from him, if we're being honest. We saw a couple recently, which makes me think he's getting better. Or you just think he's not the guy?
Yeah, I mean, it worries me when I'm hearing from people within the league and stuff that are saying, yeah, the adjustments he's making are terrible and what's happening and all this kind of stuff. I mean, people would really know this stuff, and they're not thrilled with the stuff that he's doing. That's, concerning, but I also say, you signed up for this. You hired a rookie head coach knowing that usually there's some bumps in the road along the way. That's just, it comes with the territory. It's just like a rookie player, they're not going to be a finished product. Unfortunately, you're in a situation where you've got LeBron, you've got AD, you're expected to win right now, and particularly the situation they're in now. Any mistakes that he makes are going to be magnified, because not only do you have those guys and you need to win right now, but you really need to win every single game right now in order to get into the postseason. So I absolutely think he can get better. The adjustments haven't been great and have left you wanting quite a bit. The team typically has played pretty hard. I'm a little bit concerned about the energy level recently, but I don't know. It's kind of been a 5 out of 10 season, I suppose, because you're seeing the team compete and play hard, but left a lot to be desired in terms of the adjustments he's made, the schemes, that sort of stuff. So it's stuff that he can grow with and improve, but kind of like the Beasley situation. Do you have time for that to take place?
Right. Like I was remembering when John Morant went off on him for 28 points. I'm like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I kept screaming, why are you not double teaming him? Make like you do with Anthony Davis. Make somebody else beat you. If someone else beats you, so be it. But this guy is tearing you up. Do something. Double him, triple him. Get the ball out of his hands. How do you let a guy score 28 points in a quarter? So it's those things. I'm like, come on, man. You gotta be better than that. Or, I felt like sometimes he just played players because it's like, okay, we got to have Russ it's Russell Westbrook. We got to have him in the court. Even if he was having a terrible game. Sometimes I feel like, and maybe this is not just with Darvin Ham, but any rookie coach in general, sometimes I feel like they don't manage on field. Like I have a big issue with the Yankee manager, Aaron Boone, over here, because he doesn't manage on field. I get sick. I understand analytics are a part of sports, but so is this guy's red hot right now.
Yeah.
We got to play this guy. I'm not sitting, okay, just for a Yankee perspective. Well, Giancarlo Stanton is, in the last week, he's got 5 homers, 11 RBIs. Oh, he's facing a pitcher that he hasn't hit well. Okay, well, how do we know that he wasn't in a slump when he faced that pitcher? How do you know the pitcher didn't have one of his best games ever? Like, how do you know all that? How do you measure all this stuff? Sometimes it's like, okay, Beasley's not hitting it. Reeves is hot. Reeves is getting the minutes. You don't need to just put the guy in there because, like, well, I got to play my starters down the stretch. I feel like maybe that's not just a Darvin Ham thing, but like a rookie head coach thing where they just don't have the best feel for the game.
Yeah, and that's something that takes time to really to get a sense of. But yeah, we do see that quite a bit, right? This guy just hit, whatever. D'Lo hit 3 threes in a row. But my pregame plan said he comes out at this time, so I guess I got to put him on the bench. You got to be able to adapt on the fly. You have to be able to improvise, and I think that's something that he certainly can improve upon. But right now, it's left something to be desired.
Yeah. All right, couple more, and we'll let Trev get out of here because he's a busy man. I appreciate him taking time. Mr. Magic says, "Thank you for the super chat. You guys should broadcast the game together. Go Lakers."
Oh, that'd be fun.
That would be fun. In the future, we might have to do that.
Yeah, that'd be a good time.
That would be a good time. Like I said, maybe Trevor will be a little different. You watch the game, get a little emotional. I try not to scream over him too much because you know how I get. Alexander, man, thank you for the super chat. It says AD and Beasley for Atlanta's John Collins, Clint Capella, DeAndre Hunter, and 2 firsts. Have you break that one down?
Yeah, I mean, I like all the players that are in that deal. I like John Collins, I like Capella, I like DeAndre Hunter. Are the Hawks giving up all of that? I mean, DeAndre Hunter certainly they value pretty highly. I'd have to pull the contracts to see. John Collins, I know is making like 25 per year over the next few years. It's not bad. I mean, it's not bad. You're getting quite a bit here. I don't know if the Hawks are going to give up both the first in this situation and take on that salary, but I think that would be enough to at least make the Lakers stop and think about it. Again, you're not getting the top end talent, but you're getting a starting center, starting power forward, and starting small forward plus first round picks. That could have you off and running. Plus, you're getting young players in it. That's not bad. That's not bad.
All right.
But I also admit I am a bigger John Collins fan than most. The Hawks have been trying to move him for years, and they haven't been able to pull the trigger on that. So not everybody in the league is a fan of his.
All right. Last question. Let's get out of here. Gut feeling. How does this team make at least a playing round, and how far do they go?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to stay optimistic here. I'm going to say they get into the playoffs and they bow out in the first round. I'm going to say that's ultimately what happens. I think you're asking, look, LeBron and AD, get them both healthy. You've got a puncher's chance against anybody. But if they get into if let's say they move up to the 8th seed or something like that, and they wind up playing Denver in round 1, a team that's been together all year, I think they can give them a scare. But I think you would need LeBron at 100% and rolling, and that's not what you're going to get. You're going to get, a newly recovered LeBron at, 80% or whatever, maybe. So that's what I think is probably the way it's going to play out. I think they do get in, but they wind up being a first round exit, and then they're getting ready for next season and trying to keep as much of this team as they can.
Yeah. Well, listen, Trevor, like I said, this has been an honor, man. I greatly appreciate you taking time out to, like I said, come and hang out with a New York guy. Like I said, guys and girls in the chat, if you don't know who Trevor Lane is, make sure you check out all his, his YouTube channel, Instagram, and Twitter. Everything is in the description, so you guys can follow him there. This is the best guy when it comes to Laker news, Laker rumors, injury updates, post-game stuff. You want to check out Laker Nation. That's why it was an honor to have him on here. And again, Trev, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy, you're a family guy like me, so I really appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for all the kind words. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on. I do appreciate that as well.
Awesome. I'll do it again sometime.
Absolutely. For sure.
Yeah, Janice, thank you for the super chat. She says, thank you, Trevor, for all your knowledge and time.
Oh, thank you, Janice. Appreciate it.
All right. You want to do your close? What do you say? Be good and stay safe.
I always wind up saying see ya and stay safe. And that's just It's a leftover. It's just like muscle memory at this point from the pandemic. I always said see ya to close, and stay safe came in with the pandemic, and it just hasn't gone away yet.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay. So he'll say see and stay safe. And I'm gonna say, you guys have a good one. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And for Trevor Lane is the Bad Diggity Dizzle, and we gone.